Some neighbors will stop at nothing to control you, but few are reckless enough to sneak into a basement filled with skunks in mating season. That's exactly what my neighbor Laura did, and her screams still echo in my mind. This happened just last night, and if you're eating or in a confined space, you might want to pause. Trust me. I'm Jake Miller, a wildlife photographer and content creator who moved to Greenhaven Estates 6 months ago. It's a suburban neighborhood with pristine lawns and an HOA that micromanages everything from fence height to mailbox shades. I specialize in documenting misunderstood creatures, and the move put me near a nature preserve while keeping me close to town. But the real threat wasn't in the wild, it was next door, in the form of Laura Bennett, the 52-year-old HOA president with a vendetta. I met Laura during my first week while unloading camera gear. She strode over with a clipboard and a fake smile. "Welcome," she said, handing me a 73-page rulebook. "I'm Laura, HOA president. Study sections 4 through 17 on property standards." Before I could respond, she criticized my lawn's length and unapproved wildflower garden, citing page 42 for permits. She marched off, leaving me feeling like I'd been interrogated, not welcomed. Not all neighbors were like Laura. Mrs. Chin, a 70-year-old retiree, brought me dumplings and warned me about Laura's history. "She's driven out 4 families this year," Mrs. Chin said. "She was fired from Pinnacle Realty for faking environmental reports to push developments. Her husband left her over her control issues. Now she rules the HOA like a dictator." I stayed under Laura's radar at first, getting minor violation notices. That changed when I found injured skunks under my porch one stormy April night. As a licensed wildlife rehabilitator, I couldn't abandon them. The adult female, Daisy, had a mangled leg, likely from a trap, and her 2 juveniles were malnourished. I moved them to my basement, a permitted animal care space with ventilation and enclosures. I called Dr. Emily Carter, a wildlife biologist, to assess them. Caring for skunks in mating season is intense, but I set up a heated enclosure, cleaned Daisy's wound, and fed the juveniles formula. By 3 a.m. they were settled, and I felt fulfilled despite the exhaustion. Skunk care is delicate. They don't spray unless threatened, giving warnings like foot stomping or handstands. I spoke softly to calm them, checking Daisy's leg and hydrating the group. Over the days, I added enrichment, fleece scraps, stones, water trays, to keep them engaged. By week's end, the juveniles were playful, and Daisy's limp improved. But the mating season brought challenges. The male juveniles' courtship behaviors, clicking and figure eights, amplified their musk, which my ventilation couldn't fully contain. A faint odor spread, catching Laura's attention. Emily visited, confirming the skunk's recovery but warning about the mating season's potent scent. As we spoke, I spotted Laura outside, snapping photos through my basement window. She fled when I saw her, but the next day, an HOA notice demanded I remove the dangerous animals within 48 hours or face fines. Emily called it absurd. Moving skunks now was risky and illegal under state wildlife laws. I knew Laura was just starting her war. The HOA meeting was tense, held in a stuffy community center. Laura, flanked by her ally Tom Harris, accused me of endangering the neighborhood. She projected blurry photos of my skunks, claiming they'd devalue homes by 20%. Neighbors squirmed, torn between her fearmongering and my defense. With Emily's expertise, I explained my permits, the skunk's temporary stay, and state laws protecting my work. Laura's push for a vote to evict the skunks faltered when a board member suggested a 2-week extension if I controlled odors. Fuming, Laura agreed, but I overheard her plotting with Tom to dig up dirt on me. Laura's surveillance intensified. She patrolled my street, photographed my yard, and once, accidentally, wandered into my backyard, claiming she lost a non-existent dog. Security cameras caught her peering into my basement daily. When I confronted her while she measured my grass with a ruler, she exploded, accusing me of harassing the community and waving a dubious legal letter threatening a $200,000 lawsuit. Violation notices piled up, fake issues like excessive bird activity. Mrs. Chen revealed Laura's pattern, targeting residents until they sold, often to Pinnacle Realty, her former employer, raising suspicions of kickbacks. One night, cameras caught Laura and Tom trying to break into my garage. I reported it to Officer Ryan Holt, but without clear intent, he could only file a report. A fake court summons followed, which I verified as fraudulent. With Emily's help, I found Laura's HOA rules were outdated or illegally enforced. I rallied neighbors. Mrs. Chen and others were harassed by Laura for the next meeting. Emily suggested a risky plan: let Laura's obsession lead her to the skunks. Knowing she'd break in, we'd let nature teach her a lesson. At the next meeting, we exposed Laura's abuses: selective enforcement, unvoted rule changes, and no elections. Laura, cornered, demanded I remove the skunks or she'd resign. A neighbor's quip, "Is that a promise?" sparked laughter, enraging her. She set a 2-week deadline, but cameras later caught her planning to sneak into my basement during my university talk. "I'll record everything and call animal control," she told Tom. Emily grinned. "She's in for a smelly surprise." We prepped the basement, ensuring cameras were ready and the skunk's enclosure was positioned to startle an intruder. I cut my talk short, monitoring from my car. At dusk, Laura picked my basement lock and crept inside, phone in hand. I remotely flipped on the lights, startling her. She dropped her phone, and the noise triggered the skunks. A spray hit her, and her scream was primal, pure panic. The mating season musk, 10 times stronger, overwhelmed her. She clawed at her face, gagging, as the odor, rotten eggs, burning rubber, rancid garlic, saturated her clothes and hair. A second spray soaked her pants. Locked in, she pounded the door, mascara streaming, while Tom fled. After 15 agonizing minutes, I called Officer Holt. Police, wearing masks, arrested a stench-soaked Laura for trespassing. She shrieked about lawsuits, but the smell drowned her out. News of her skunking spread, and her lingering odor isolated her. She sued, claiming I kept dangerous animals, but Emily's testimony and my footage proved her break-in. Neighbors shunned her, and HOA meetings went virtual to avoid her scent. Tom, realizing Laura had manipulated him, refused to lie for her and distanced himself. The turning point came at an emergency HOA meeting Laura called to expel me. Neighbors turned it into her trial, sharing years of her bullying. Richard Lawson, a retired attorney and Laura's former ally, dropped a bombshell: emails proving Laura took 5% kickbacks from Pinnacle Realty to devalue and buy homes. My property was a prime target. Laura's past environmental fraud tied her to Pinnacle's scheme. Richard had reported her to the state, triggering fraud and conspiracy charges. Officer Holt confirmed an expanded investigation. Laura, pale and reeking, resigned. Mrs. Chen was voted interim president, 24-1. Laura hired a PI, uncovering my old arrest at an environmental protest. She spread rumors about me as an extremist, but neighbors admired my activism. The skunks recovered, and we released them in a conservation area, hosting an educational event that drew crowds. Laura's Pinnacle deal collapsed under police scrutiny, and Tom fully abandoned her. She faced 18 months of house arrest, 5 years probation, and $700,000 in restitution for fraud and tax evasion. Pinnacle was fined $3 million and dissolved. Tom, remorseful, led community healing sessions, revealing Laura's widespread manipulation. He joined Mrs. Chen's wildlife habitat project, and I helped, bonding over bad houses. Laura's final sabotage, falsely reporting me to animal control, failed. I offered her a skunk odor remedy, leaving her stunned. The release event, filmed for my channel, went viral, titled, "HOA Tyrant Broke Into My Basement, Met Skunks in Mating Season." Laura, now a meme, sold her house and fled. She left an apology note, likely to dodge more backlash. Greenhaven transformed. Mrs. Chen's HOA slashed restrictive rules, added transparency, and started a community garden and nature sanctuary. I became a local hero, speaking at schools about wildlife. My channel hit 1 million subscribers. Sometimes I see the skunks in my garden, led by Daisy Jr., a fragrant reminder of justice. What do you think of Laura's downfall and our skunk trap? Was it fair play or too cruel? Share your thoughts below, especially on pranks and neighbor disputes. Like, subscribe, and tell us your HOA or wildlife stories for more drama and justice.